In the year 2026 AD, the Earth-Ray tectonic disturbance occurred around the world, splitting the Earth into 4 terrestrial masses. Domination, war, disaster and famine broke out in the 4 lands, and mankind fell into disarray. In the center of the world, a single tower rose steeply into the sky. It was a great structure looking down upon the earth from the heavens above. People believed that it held the key to the future. It became known as the Tower of Barbs, a place which one could become closest with God. The Tower of Barbs is a colossal structure found in the south of Tokyo, created from the debris and aftermath of the tectonic earth rage. The tower quickly became a hotspot for climbers for multiple reasons: fame, treasure, enlightenment, or in some cases, a business opportunity. The tower's supernatural height was not the only phenomenon found there. The tower also seemed to have an effect on the local flora and fauna. As well as mutating them into beasts, they also gained special properties, like healing wounds or becoming a powerful explosive compound. The tower also began to have an influence over those who entered as well, empowering them or even in some cases bringing them back from the dead. All of this was due to the sudden appearance of spliffium that resided inside the tower. Spliffium is powerful soul energy and has multiple uses. It can be used to power machinery, enhance one's physique, or can even grant supernatural powers and abilities. Spliffium quickly became a valuable resource in the world, and everyone began to seek it, including a certain company specialized in human evolution. The unnatural power and potential of Spliffium piqued the interest of Dr. Hiromitsu Terada, a scientist and CEO of Yotsuyama. Dr. Terada had seen the wreckage left by the wars between the 4 lands and saw the amount of bodies of those who had died in battle. He felt those bodies are going to waste and began to find a way to repurpose the deceased. It was around this time that a powerful benefactor also began to work with Yotsuyama and Dr. Terada's research. Uncle Death, a messenger from the underworld and the Grim Reaper himself. He took interest in Dr. Terada's work and saw the potential the project would have on Death's own personal goal. Death began to instruct Yotsuyama on how to use Spliffium and the tower properly to not only just further Terada's goal but also his own. Uncle Death quickly rose to power within Yotsuyama and quickly took over Terada's role of head of company. Dr. Terada was relocated to a research base inside the tower to continue his research. In the early days of Yotsuyama's research into the tower and Spliffium, they deployed a group of mercenaries known as the Jackals into the tower. The Jackals are body collectors kitted with the best tech Yotsuyama can supply. Their job's pretty simple: collect the bodies, bring them back to Yotsuyama, rinse and repeat. The Jackals are very good at what they do, and are able to give the company what they need, making them an invaluable task force for Yotsuyama. With the bodies collected, Yotsuyama were able to create basic prototypes of robots. These prototypes were called tubers. Tubers are emotionless killing machines. They don't need to eat, sleep, making them the perfect soldiers for war. Earlier tubers such as scratch, gun and hover tubers were slow and lacked cognitive function, but were still effective, while later tubers like bone, reversal and treasure tubers were much stronger and deadlier. A later project of Yotsuyama were the 3 shocks of horror, creatures that surpass the tubers by combining more humans together. These horrors are Koan, Jindai, and Goto-9, with U-10 later being created after the project was long abandoned. A lesser known creation of Yotsuyama is the Fighters, deceased humans with a slight modification being a Spliffium battery found in the chest. Fighters are extremely capable creations with the ability to be controlled remotely or act on their own accord. Fighters are also able to harvest Spliffium off defeated enemies. However, they are still susceptible to the tower's influence and can become an undead hater if they die again. With Yotsuyama projects well underway, they also began to modify the tower under Uncle Death's guidance. While a new shipment of fighters were arriving at the tower, inside a local Japanese arcade, a game was about to begin. wakes up at a table inside an arcade after having a dream of the Tower of Barbs, as well as dying and meeting a Grim Reaper known as Uncle Death. Our protagonist realises the same Grim Reaper is sitting opposite them, waiting to greet them for a second time. Uncle Death explains that the gamer had fallen asleep while playing Uncle Death's favourite game, Let It Die. The rules of the game were quite simple: climb to the top of the Tower of Barbs. Uncle Death had also taken a liking towards the gamer's prior performance in the game, and this is made apparent by Death calling them his senpai. Death Senpai also meets the other residents of the arcade, like Naomi Detox and Mejin. Mejin had already beaten Let It Die 6 times and was more than happy to give Death Senpai's tips to make climbing easier. With introductions out the way, Death Senpai boots up the Death Drive again. Unlike the first time, the layout of the first floor had drastically changed. Firstly, some residents of the tower had moved into the lowest floor and set up shop. These residents being Momoko Yamada, the leader of the Mushroom Magistrate, and is liked by climbers for her ability to provide decals that give the user powerful enhancements, and Commodore Suzuki, manager of Choku Funsha, and provides climbers research and development of equipment. His only request is that Death Senpai provides him with Splithium in return for his services. The floor that Momoko and Suzuki reside on is called the Waiting Room, and acts as a safe haven for Death Senpai. Death Senpai enters the tower with what little equipment they have to begin their journey. However, it isn't long until they encounter another unusual property of the tower. Their past self is alive, angry, and out for blood. After dying for the first time, Death Senpai's control fell onto a new fighter, while the old one became the undead, rage-filled hater in front of them. Death Senpai quickly puts their past self out of their misery, and Death collects the body and returns it to the waiting room. After some time climbing, Uncle Death Senpai encounters a talking severed head. This head belongs to Max Sharp, one of the Dons of the Tower of Barbs. The Dons are a group of humans that have managed to evade death during a fatal incident that occurred to each of them at the start of the Earth Rage, each incident leaving a Don without a body. There are 4 Dons of the tower, these being the DIY enthusiast with an interest in body modification known as Max Sharp, manager of DIY or Die, the ex-military demolist turned grieving widower, and leader of the War Ensemble faction Colonel Jackson, Mr. Crowley, creator of the Counterwolf group, a medieval fantasy fanatic and a scientific prodigy, and Taro Gun Kanyama, founder of the Muscle International League of Killers, and a fan of blood sports. Each Don owns a fourth of the tower and are also in possession of a powerful soul. Because of these souls, the Dons have the ability to resurrect their own personal undead army, while also having access to modified versions of the 3 Shocks of Horrors. With each Don's death and their souls collected, Death Senpai gets stronger and gains access to new gears and powers, making them a formidable force. While climbing as well, Uncle Death takes notice of his senpai's fighting skills and is impressed by the bloodshed and carnage left in their wake. Death Senpai also takes part in the Tokyo Death Metro, a metro system that allows senpais to raid unattended waiting rooms. However, they must break through the waiting room's defense fighters. The Death Metro is ran by Tetsuo, a Yotsuyama AI that keeps track of the raids. Commando Kawasaki, who is brother to Suzuki, runs Gaiku Funsha, a travelling black market, also helps Death Senpai by providing materials and blueprints for a price. With the 3 other Dons dead, the only Don left standing is Taro, and his modified U-10. After the final Don's defeat at the hands of Death Senpai, the final escalator ride reveals all about the true nature of the tower and Death himself. At the point of Taro's defeat, Yotsuyama's work on the tower had long been done, and under Death's request and instruction they had turned the tower into a training ground for souls. Death wanted to use the tower to train an exceptionally powerful champion to bring powerful souls to the top of the tower. Everything up until this point had already been planned out for this purpose. The game Let It Die was created by Yotsuyama to allow anyone to control the fighters to harvest Splithium under the guise of a video game. Death also allowed the Dons to resurrect their own personal undead army with the bodies that the Jackals would now start to provide them. This was so that the Dons and their undead armies could unknowingly sharpen Death Senpai's combat skills, so when the time came they could defeat the Dons. As the final escalator ride ends, Uncle Death Senpai meets Death at the top of the tower. With the souls collected, Death manages to conjure a fiery mass of souls that rivals the size of the moon. His intent is to collide the soul mass with the earth, bringing an end to humanity. His reasoning for this is quite simple.
Because I am Death. What else would Death do? My job is to bring humans to their demise.
Fortunately, Uncle Death shows that he was truly impressed with the death and carnage his senpai caused to get to this point. He loved every second watching his senpai hack, slash, bludgeon and claw their way to the top. Uncle Death realizes that destroying humanity would mean he would not be able to watch more of this performance, and he decided that he would give up on his plans on destroying humanity. After Death defeats the final boss, he guides his senpai back to their waiting room. Back in the arcade, Uncle Death waits with a gift for his favourite gamer. The Death Drive XXX, with its launch title, Let It Die, Battle to the Top. He promises to no longer seek to destroy humanity as long as he gets to watch his senpai continue their amazing performance. After the events of Let It Die, Uncle Death begins to expand the already expanding Tower of Barbs. He firstly added new floors to the tower, and then released the 4 Forcemen into the tower. The Forcemen are powerful humans that can rival the Don's and Senpai's power. However, as time went on, both Yotsuyama and Uncle Death's attention shifted. Years went by and a new prospect arose, one full of stars. Yotsuyama began to research more into the after effects of the Earth Rage. Unusual entities started to appear from nowhere, and unlike the beasts of the tower, these creatures seemed to not come from any terrestrial animal. These creatures became classed as cryptids, and they also seemed to contain spliffium. Yotsuyama at this time also made strides in technological advances. They began to make robots the more traditional way with way more advanced AIs. These robots were called Wilsons. Wilsons were powerful and useful machinery as they can siphon spliffium from living entities, as well as manifesting weapons and shields for the user. The effectiveness of Wilsons was made so apparent that Yotsuyama gifted one to Death. Uncle Death named his Wilson Uncle D2, and it acted as his eyes and ears when it came to Yotsuyama products. Yotsuyama also started to look for entities similar to cryptids for the Hunter project. Hunters would act as powerful gatekeepers, changing the rules of combat. A notable entity was found in the tower. This creature was the most proficient killing machine that Yotsuyama had ever seen, so they captured them under the codename Q and locked them away until they were needed. Yotsuyama also started tracking an entity that crashed down to Earth from space. The creature had the ability to grant someone a godlike physique, while also taking over their minds and draining them of life. The creature was detained under the codename M, but unlike Q, he seemed quite happy about it. The last entity Yotsuyama acquired wasn't a hater like Q or a space parasite like M, it was actually a member of staff. Under the codename G, a jackal-like hunter was given the best Yotsuyama tech to hopefully spice up combat. With everything in place, Yotsuyama finally put out job listings for contestants with the promise of fame and fortune. With the contestants arriving, the show could finally start. Brian Zabakis and his co-host Queen Bee present the Death Jamboree globally through Yotsuyama Broadcasting. The Death Jamboree is a battle royale between 16 contestants. Contestants are given weapons and a Wilson so that they can battle it out between each other for stardom. The better contestants perform, the higher the views the show got, and the more views the show got, the more powerful contestants got. With the only rule to the Jamboree being survival, as contestants would be clashing with each other, cryptids and hunters. Because of the Wilson's ability to prevent fatal damage done, a lot of the contestants became popular within the Jamboree and the community surrounding it. But none was as popular as Queen Bee, who was once a contestant turned host after one of her jamborees left her without an arm. She was provided with a new arm and a role as co-host to Brian. While the first season of the show was steady with a decent sponsor from an edible soap brand, the second season, sponsored by Candlewolf, was not bringing in the same amount of ratings, and the show was no longer renewed for a third season. Even though the show was unfortunately cancelled, the shocks the contestants made through the system left a lasting impact on Yotsuyama and Uncle Death's opinion on humanity and their capability in combat, with this leading Yotsuyama back to their roots. In the year 2026 AD, the Earth-Ray tectonic disturbance occurred around the world, splitting the Earth into 4 terrestrial masses. While the stories of slain senpais and champion contestants have been told, a new story is starting to unfold right beneath our feet. The Hellgate has opened. The Eye of the Reaper containing immense power has been located inside, with old and new allies ready to assist you in the inferno below. Hey everyone, I just wanted to stop by and say thank you for those who clicked on this video, and a massive thank you to Armize for not only letting me use the art, but also the clips that were seen in the video. Let Die Inferno is just under a week away and I wanted to go back through the game's history, and I felt a lore video was the most appropriate way to do that. If you're watching this video on release, I have just gone live on Twitch, so feel free to stop by and let me know what you think about the video, or just hang out. If you like what you saw here, feel free to drop a follow on my YouTube, Twitch and Twitter, and join the Discord for updates when I post content, or if you just want to hang out and talk. Link to all these will be in the description, but just know your viewership means the world for me, and I will see you in the next video.